Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Today our lecture memory. I am Professor Alexander Dvirsky. Okay, I repeat, what does it mean psychology? Our lecture about psychology. What does it mean psychology? Psychology is a science about behavior and mental process. Main target of psychology is understanding connections between brain and mind. And other aim of psychology, it's maybe it's a target of psychology, it's predicting human behavior and manipulations of the human behavior, modification of human behavior. Memory is a very important mental process. I repeat once more, what does it mean mental process and what does it mean behavior? Mental process is something which happen in our mind, which manage our behavior, but it's absolutely close from examiner. Mental process, it's absolutely objective for you and absolutely hidden for other person. We can think about your mental process or only we are looking glass of your behavior. Your behavior and my behavior, it's objective. It's absolutely objective because behavior, it's like energy. But you must remember then behavior, background of behavior, it's our mental process. Our mental process create our behavior. Our mental process create tactic and strategy of our behavior. Our mental process prepare target like motivations, take emotions, explain what's happy, a lot of things. It's a mental process, but mental process, I repeat once more, subjective for yourself and objective for yourself and subjective for other person. Today we speak about memory. Memory, it's a mental process. Why? Because nobody can see what's happy in your memory. Only you know what's happy in your memory. It's a mental process. It's this mental process absolutely objective for you because your memory, it's your life, and subjective for other people's. Yes, of course, we can use special techniques like polygraph systems for looks inside our memory, but it's look inside our memory via behavior. Now definitions. What does it mean memory? Memory is a cognitive process of encoding, storing, and retrieving information. I pay your attention. Memory, it's not only something which we put in memory. No. These definitions consist of some part. First, very important words which you can meet in these definitions, it's a cognitive. What does it mean cognitive? Cognitions. Cognitions, it's like a synonyms of the smart. It's mean a smart process. What does it mean cognitions? How to understand word cognitions? Cognitions, it's our ability to create connections between everything. It's mean create connections between watch lecture today and your medical license after 6 years. It's connections between your anatomical knowledge and how to save for yourself if you receive some harms on the street. Cognitions, it's like a process which do extract means from word around ourselves. I pay your attention. A lot of conclusions which we do not so correct, but because it's a model. Cognitions like create a model of the word. Yes, of course, our model, it's a consciousness. But cognitive process, it's a background of consciousness. Top of our high mental activity, it's a consciousness. But cognitive level, it's a very important level which create a lot of event around ourselves, inside ourselves. What does mean event around ourselves? My lecture, it's an event around you, yes? You listen lecture, you see lecture, it's an event around you. But inside your brain present lot of event, like you retrieve materials. What does it mean memory? Maybe you know what does it mean brain, you learn something from anatomy, you know something about brain, you see picture of the brain, and you combine word, your sensory word, with word which persist in your memory. In your memory present very wide word. It's a word of the finger step of the former sensory event, and it's a word of the your dreaming and conclusions, because you do a lot of conclusions from sensory event, you do conclusions from conclusions, and all of these informations you're storing into the memory. Okay, I repeat once more. Memory, first, it's a cognitive process. Don't forget this. Don't forget use these terms when you answer to these questions. It's a cognitive process which what do encoding. We discuss everything. Storing, it's clear, yes, and retrieving informations. Before put informations in memory, we need coding it. After that, we storing, and after that, we retrieving. But retrieving informations and storing informations, it's a cognitive process, because we put informations only which important for ourselves. Only like these informations we put in our memory. Human memory, it's looks like a computer memory, but it's a mistake. Why? Because computer memory have not cognitions, and IBM company, for example, don't use in computer terms memory. They use terms storage. Storage, it's a like of the place in which put a lot of informations. Yes, it's maybe facility, it's maybe box, it's maybe cap, other storage in which present lot of materials. But it's a dying materials, because materials cannot manipulate with himself. And in our brain, situations absolutely opposite. All informations which present in your brain, these informations every time take part in some process. It's a process of emotions, perceptions, thinking, conclusions, induction, deductions, compare, recognize concept. Memory, it's active. It's not a storage. It's a very active process which take part in everything which happy with you. Because if you do something, you compare, you learning. You remember, maybe I said that main properties of our nerve systems, it's learning. We every time learning. We every time extract means from our activity, from informations which pass in our sense organs. In additional, our brain create new informations. We every time do new informations, and these new informations we storing into our memory. Okay, in this picture explained like a very simple model of the human brain, human memory. It's like a computer memory in which we coding, process it, coding, and store it informations. But pay attention, retrieving, very important. Why our memory has a cognitive process? Because we're retrieving informations which need in the special time, in special situations. Analyze this picture. What's happening? First, we have some input to our information. I pay attention. Short-term memory has other name like a working memory. Working memory, it's a type of memory in which we do operations, in which we do some operations which reflect in our consciousness. If you know something, it means these informations persist in your working memory, in your short-term memory, because short-term memory, it's like a windows to consciousness. Everything which present in your short-term memory, in your working memory, present in your consciousness, and you has a level of awareness. Yeah. Okay. Sensory informations. First, we put sensory informations in the sensory story. After that, from sensory story, we put informations to the short-term memory. Short-term memory processing informations, receive additional knowledge from long-term memory for do some operations like a compare, reasoning, categorizing, and some informations we use for retrieving from memory. Some informations we put to the long-term memory, but some informations we lose. It's normal process. What kind of informations we lose? We losing, erasing informations which not so important for ourselves. And what is important for ourselves, it's up to you. If you want to be a doctor, your brain motivate to recognize informations about medicine. If you have interest into the chatting in the social networks, you remember who chat what things, yes, because it's very important. Your brain, it's automatic systems, and these systems has a target, but yourself take this target. It's very important to understand. Okay, I hope this picture clear for you. Some kind of informations for processing we receive from environment, some kind of informations we're receiving from the long-term memory. In long-term memory, informations receive from why we have information in long-term memory. Some informations from environment, some informations it's our new idea, our new concept which we create and put into the long-term memory. Next classic picture, it's a stage of memory. In general, we discuss this topic like a stage of memory. What stage of memory you must remember? It's a first stage. It's encoding. It's what has been encoding. Informations in surrounding, it's a different type of energy. Or it's a chemical. It's maybe shape of molecular. For example, temperature, it's vibrations of molecular. Smell, it's a shape of molecular. Taste, it's a shape of molecular. Visual picture, it's a radiant energy. It's an electromagnetic wave, yes. Auditory, when we listen something, it's a mechanical way, a mechanical energy. But all kind of energy we transfer to the neural impulses. It's an encoding process, clear? Radiant energy, chemical energy, mechanical energy when we press when we press or give something, we press something, we feel landscape, yes, temperature, landscape of space. It's a mechanical energy. But all kind of energy, our receptors coding and into the neural impulses. What process encoding external informations to the impulses? We're learning this topic. It's a sensation process. You remember, sensations, it's a psychological process in which we transfer physical energy to the terms of the neural impulses. Sensory sensations consist of some stage. It's transductions. Transductions, it's when energy contact with receptors and receptors generate impulses. After that, temporal coding. Properties of impulses, different ratio in the nerves. It's a temporal coding. And after that, anatomical coding. Anatomical coding, special receptors attaching to the special part of brain. For example, tactility, it's a precentral gyrus. Temporal lobes, it's a hearing. Visual, it's an occipital lobe. Okay, now we refresh some information about sensations. Sensations, it's a stream of data without analyzing, yes? But when we analyze this stream of data, it's a perception. Yes, of course, for analyzing, we need compare. And for compare, we need to compare something with something. And current object persists into the sensory storage, but object which you see sometimes ago or feel sometimes ago situated into the memory. Now you understand, learning categorizing, and other cognitive process impossible without memory. Memory is a very important process in our cognitions. Okay, due encoding information is converted for storage. What does mean converted informations? It means all kind of informations we transfer to the impulses which are running inside our nerve systems. Second stage, it's a storage. This stage happy in our CNS. What does mean CNS? It's our brain, in general in the brain. I don't touch biological, chemical, physiological process which depend our memory. You belong these materials in other department. It's not my topic. I have no time to explain these materials. Now present lot of theory how information's saving in our brain. But you belong these materials in other department, okay? And second stage, information's retained in memory. It means persist into the memory. But I repeat once more, our memory, it's not a facility, it's not a storage, it's a very active process, because informations every time take part in different processes, like emotions, like thinking, like perceptions, like categorizing, like reasoning, and consciousness. A lot of process use these informations. It's an active process. And yes, of course, we're storing informations because we need retrieving informations. We retrieving informations very interesting. Usually we retrieving informations which need in current time. Usually we retrieve informations which we need right now. For example, now you don't think about pink elephant, yeah? Now I speak about pink elephant, and now in your memory present pink elephant. Now you understand what does it mean pink elephant. Maybe you remember what does it mean pink. Maybe you remember what does it mean elephant. Maybe you remember what feelings you has when you touch elephant. Maybe you remember a smell of elephant. Maybe you remember like what sound do elephant. But now I use word phrase pink elephant, and now pink elephant present in your mind. In where present pink elephant? Pink elephant present in your working memory, in your short-term memory, because it's a windows in our consciousness. Clear? If you know something, if you're Venus for something, it's mean these informations persist into your short-term memory. Synonyms or same phrase, it's a long-term memory. Oh, sorry, it's a working memory. Now more exactly about encoding process. The process by which sensory information is converted into the forms that can be used by the brain memory systems. What forms used by brain memory systems? Answer very easy. It's impulses, because radiant energy finishing in our retina, mechanical energy like a sound finishings in our ear, tactility finishings in our skin. Yes, our after receptors, real word finishing in our receptors. After receptors, it's only reflection of the word. Our receptors reflect real word in our brain, and memory stored not a physical word. In our memory we storing a reflection of the physical word. Clear? Because smell of banana absent in your mind. In your mind present some impulses which generate receptors which situated in your nose when contact with banana molecule. When you remember apple, when you remember apple smell absent in your brain, because in your brain absent special box in which present piece of banana, piece of apple. In your brain present only impulses with generate when receptor contact with apple, with receptor contact with banana. I hope. And this process has name encoding. I hope this topic clear for you. Encoding or registrations, maybe more wide definitions. I ask you, reading these definitions, the process of the receiving, processing, and combining informations. Encoding allow information from the outside world to reach our sense in the forms of the chemical and physical stimulus. I repeat once more. Radiant energy jumping to the chemical and physical stimulus inside our nerve systems. Smell do absolutely same things. In the first stage, we must change the information so that we may put the memory into the encoding process. What does it mean? It means during encoding process, we transfer physical word in the word of the electricity impulses. Clear? Everything which happens inside our brain and mind, it's electricity. It's a word of impulses. It's a word of neural impulses. It's a ratio. It's a ratio in different area of brain. Okay. Next stage. It's a storage. The process of maintaining information into the memory. But I pay your attention. Storage, it's not a storage like a box. It's not a facility. It's a CPU. It's a CPU with very difficult programs. It's a very special things which extract informations from our memory which need for ourselves in current time. I pay your attention. You remember my example about pink elephant. Everybody remember pink elephant, yes? Why you remember pink elephant? You remember pink elephant because I use this word. And dolphin. Now I use word dolphin, and now everybody think about dolphin. Now dolphin absent here, but I use these words, and yes, of course, you remember. Now your brain extract informations. What does it mean, dolphin? More wide definitions. The creations of the permanent record of the encoding information. Storage is the second memory stage or process in which we maintain information over a period of time. Now you understand how long time persists information in our brain. It's very interesting questions. Maybe permanently, but we extract information from our memory. Rules very easy. Informations which you use much more often, extracting from memory much more easy. Clear? If you every time reading medical books, you retrieve medical information very easy. If you every time reading love story, you will very easy extract informations from those love story. Clear? Detective books, same situations. You must living in your professional words, and your mind like a create special environment which manipulate with professional terms. Clear? Retrieval information. It means extract information. It's an active process of the allocating and using stored informations in behavior and others mental process. Now we use terms, for example, I don't know, fish. And sometimes ago you think about pink elephant, after that about dolphin, and now you think about fish. Why you think about fish right now? Because I use term fish, and your memory extract fish and explain for you in your consciousness what does it mean fish. You cannot stop this process. Why? Because your memory think in fish present in this environment. You must understand what does it mean fish. more large definitions, retrieval or recall. And I pay your attention. Sometimes recognizing, yes, it's the same, because if your memory extracts something, it means your memory extracts something which looks like something. It's very important. If your memory extract information only which you need in current time, it's very important. Because why it's happy? It's happy because memory, it's a cognitive process. The calling back stored information in the response to the some cue of for use in process of activity. It means your activity and information which retrieving from memory, it's the same things. Your memory retrieve information which you need for current activity. And if your activity very often it's a medical activity, you will retrieve medical information very quickly. And how to improve your ability in medicine? Every time reading medical vocabularies, every time reading medical books like textbooks, I mean, name of diseases, name of symptoms, something like this books about general medicine. We must locate it and return into our consciousness. I pay your attention. Next very important maybe string in these definitions. Informations return in our consciousness. What does it mean return in our consciousness? It means informations return in our short-term memory, in our working memory, because long-term memory, it's the unconsciousness area. We manipulate with information in working memory. We receive information from unconsciousness level from long-term memory and manipulate with information in consciousness level. It's a short-term memory. I hope you understand, and I ask you remember once more. In long-term memory, information in unconsciousness, you don't know how many information situated in your long-term memory. You can check your information only due some kind of activity. Stage of memory. Sensory registers, short-term memory, long-term memory. Now we will discuss this information more exactly in the next picture. Sensory memory. Memory in which representation of the physical feature of stimulus and stored by the brief durations. Okay, what informations receive sensory memory? Sensory memory receive information from the sensory process, from receptors. This memory receive information from our receptors. This memory, it's storing all data which we receive from our sense organs, but without processing. It's only a finger step of reality. Clear? It's a finger step of reality, and our cognitive process after that manipulate with this storage. In this storage we can store a lot of information, but very brief time. This is momentary storage of the sensory information. Is called the sensory story. Also known like iconic memory for visual information and echonic memory for auditory information. For example, close your eyes and very brief time you see a screen. When I mute, very brief time you listen my voice. It's a echonic memory and iconic memory. I hope you understand. In this memory present physical word. This memory present a physical word. But this memory contain storing information very brief time. Why it's very important? Dear colleague, for example, in your memory informations storing near the 5 second. 5 second you see one picture. What does it mean? Now I sit down. After that you do something this, put this to this and come back. It's near the 5 second and you don't see this picture. Why? Because you see only picture in which I sit down like this. Clear? You need, if information's refreshing very clear, you can see difference between one frame and other frame. Clear? If information's erasing very every time, you see difference between this picture and previous picture. Erasing, it's a way to the compare to picture. I hope you understand this. Sensory registers. It's like a same like a sensory memory. It's a brief holds and exact image of each sensory experience until it be processed. It means when you see something, information situated in your sensory memory. If you listen something, information situated in sensory memory. When I mute, information is erasing in sensory memory. But what's different between one word and other words? In your echonic memory, information erasing and receive new informations. But memory understand 2 bits of information is different, and you can recognize something happy around you. Information's situated very brief time, less than 1 second. Now we discuss about how long time, more exactly in next picture. Okay, this picture explains how to recognize how long time information persists in our iconic memory. Near the 50 milliseconds. It's a special device. Picture persists 50 milliseconds, and after that dynamic set different tone for different string. And usual person can remember only one string. If why it's happy only one string, because 50 milliseconds it's a time which information persists in memory, and we can processing these informations. Clear? It's a time which we need for processing informations. It's a minimum time for recognized image. Minimum time for recognized image 50 milliseconds. If image persists less than 50 milliseconds, you cannot recognize this image. Understand? Yeah, it's image which need 50 milliseconds. It's a minimal time for recognize something. Short-term memory or working memory. Usually it's very same words. What does it mean, short-term memory? It's immediately memory of stimuli that have been perceived. It means this memory has a not so large capacity, near the 7 bit, and information persists near the 30 second. But pay your attention, what does it mean 7 bit of information? 7 bit of information, it's mean something like a elephant, like a dolphin, like a fish, like a dog, like a cat, like a cockatoo. You understand? It's a perception image. It's not a bit like in the computer 0, no. Okay, dear colleagues, I remember order of animals which I said. Try repeat. Okay, I think you do some mistakes. Why it's happy? It's happy because informations persist in the memory maximum 30 seconds. And very important other feature of this memory, it's informations persist. This is a windows into the consciousness. When you think about something, information persists in this memory. When you think about something, information persists in this memory, and you understand about what informations you think. Clear? And as a result, this memory sometimes has name a working memory. In this memory, you do operations like compare something, reasoning something, calculations, do some logic operations. All of these operations we do into the short-term memory. Now, once more, we repeat parameter of this memory. How long time information persists? Near the 30 seconds. How to increase, how to storing informations more long time in this memory? Refresh informations, like repeat informations, think about these informations. When you think about these informations, maybe you remember first picture information, maybe go to the long-term memory. Informations which important for you automatically jump into the long-term memory. When you think about something, your long-term memory provide new informations about image with which you manipulate into the short-term memory. In general, when you think about something, you think into the short-term memory. How many objects present in your short-term memory? Near the 7. And yes, of course, for example, when you listen lecture and other friend say something for you, your memory only 7 you need. Every sentence is near the 7 word. You can listen me and your friends like a background. If you listen friend, if you pay attention to your friend, 7 register busy, and I am like a background, your friend like a main signal. I hope it's very understandable and clear for you. This very interesting picture. It's a picture percent of recall. Yes, it's you remember I said some animals for you, and after first 3 second you answer to what animals you listen, like 80%, after 6 seconds 50%, but after 20 seconds maybe you absolutely forgot order of animals. Now you maybe remember name of animals which I said, but order of animals remember so difficult. Why it's happy? Because this order of animals not so important for you. It's not a part of medical education. It's not a part. It's not influence to your life, and as a result, not important informations erasing from this memory. Yes, of course, you remember that I speak about some animals. Maybe you remember that I speak about fish, dolphin, crocodile, dogs, and other animals. But order you maybe not remember. Okay, remember this picture. For example, if you try remember phone number, for example, 23, 22, 25, 22, 25, 5, 21, 22, 25, yes? Now you remember. Now I speak other number, for example, 36, 12, 17, and you forgot first number. Why it's happy? Because volume of your memory is only 6. And you see in these charts and you forgot informations after 3, 6, 7, or second 7. Second, how to increase time for persist information into the memory. Think about these informations. When you think about these informations be persist in your memory more long time, and after some times these informations be jump into the long-term memory and be situated long time or permanently. I pay attention. Like this knowledge we received only in previous centuries. Short-term memory. I repeat parameter. Hold about 5 or 9 bit of information. What kind of information? It's a perception image. It's a perception image. It's not a computer bit. It's maybe a city. Maybe you can compare to city. You can compare to country. Country, it's not a bit. It's a lot of information. And when you compare to country, you split country to the level of life, level of security, and for every element like a security, salary, transport, like ecology, you need special bit into the short-term memory. And as a result, your analysis is not so large. You can manipulate only with seven objects, like ecology, like populations, like average income, and something like this. Okay, continue our lecture. Chunking. It's way to increase ability of our short-term memory. What does it mean, chunking? We can remember only 9 bits of information. It's not so large, but we can use special tricks, life hack, for increase this ability. We use our cognitive systems for increase numerous of data which we can manipulate into the short-term memory. Now explain. Okay, very long digit, but if you know arithmetic, you can split this digit to the sum part. My opinion, remember this digit in this format not so easy. But if you remember, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's only 5 bits of information. It's possible, remember. And first digit, it's much more. It's more than 9. It's more than 9. You cannot remember first digit, but you can remember second digit if you use your arithmetic ability. Clear? It's a way to increase your short-term memory. It's a way to increase your working memory. My opinion, this example much more better. Okay, very large digit. How to remember this digit? For example, you need to create a password. Password for, I don't know, for very security mailbox. Okay. 9, it's an outside line. It's clear, yes? You remember, like what's my password? Outside line in office, 9. Long distance code, 1. After that, your friends area code. Okay, you remember where leaving your friends. After that, your friend phone number. Okay, you remember this. After that, yes, of course, you remember own phone number, and you remember your area code. And after that, you remember suffix of your credit card. Very often we remember suffix of our credit card. And as a result, we use mnemonic. It's a chunking, but we receive very digit. Yes, like I am in office, my office password, I am in office. After that, it's a long distance. After that, my friend's area code. After that, my friend code number. After that, my area code, my phone number. And after that, my suffix in my credit card. And we receive a very difficult digit. And yes, of course, you can combine, for example, 2 first area code, and after that, 2 phone, and this password be very difficult for cracking. But it's a chunking. Yes, you remember very large example, very large digit in your short-term memory. But you use your cognitive ability. Clear? You use CPU. It's like archive programs. Encoding. Short-term memory do encoding. What does mean encoding? Encoding, it's like a previous picture. It's operations which prepare informations for effectivity storage it in the long-term memory. It's mean when you understand informations, if this information is important for you, if informations take positive emotions for you, these informations be storing into the long-term memory much more easy than usual information. Second, mnemonic rules, like how to remember 9 planet. Yeah, it's Mercury, Venus, as Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uran, Neptune, Pluton. Yes, you can remember this name of person and you remember a name of planet. It's very easy, it's very suitable. I repeat once more. Working memory, it's same like a short-term memory. In some books, you can meet working memory like separately. In some books, you can meet working memory like a short-term memory. In some books, short-term memory means work-term memory. What does it mean, working memory? Working memory, it's similar to the short-term memory. However, unlike the latter, working memory is where a person manipulates with informations. But in some books, short-term memory and working memory, it's absolutely same things. What do short-term memory or working memory? Solving problems, recall something, we do something for debate. It's memory in which we manipulate with informations. Clear? Source of informations, it's a long-term memory. But in long-term memory, we don't understand informations. We understand informations only if informations present into the short-term memory or into the working memory. Clear? If you recall name of these bonds, this bond situated in your long-term memory. Now you don't remember, but maybe if you think about this bond, you remember name of these bonds. Clear? Why? Because information jumping from the unconsciousness memory, long-term memory, to the consciousness memory, short-term memory or working memory. Long-term memory. Long-term memory in which information is represented on a permanent or near permanent. It's memory in which information is situated very long time. But what main feature of the long-term memory? We don't know what information persists in our long-term memory. We understand what information persists into the long-term memory only when we think about something. It's a cognitive, you remember, memory, it's a cognitive process of the retrieving and stored informations. What does mean cognitive? Cognitive, it's mean if something need for ourselves, we put informations into the memory, and if something need, we retrieve informations which need for memory. For example, now you think then some information is not so interesting for you, and this information don't put in your long-term memory. But in exam you try extract this information in license exam in India, MCI, medical consuls Indian exam. But information absent. Why information absent? Information absent because you think then psychology not so important science, and you don't. And as a result, this information's not jumping from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. Clear? Information's jumping from one memory to other memory involuntary, but it's a half of true, because involuntary it's mean if you has interest into these informations ratios that information jumping from the short-term memory to the long-term memory much more than if this information not so interesting for you. I ask you, increase interest. Three stage of memory. It's a three stage, yes. It's like a third stage of memory. Yes, first stage of memory, it's a iconic memory. After that, it's a short-term memory, and this is a long-term memory. Information persists in this memory very long time. Present some classifications of the long-term memory. Long-term memory usually we classify like a three type of memory. First type of long-term memory, LTM, it's a procedural memory, experience and skills, like how to drive scooters, how to use road rules, how to script, how to play in the football. Okay, it's a skills memory, it's an unconsciousness memory. You don't feel that you can scripting by pen. You don't remember about this. Episodic memory. It's some episode of your life, your birthday, some important event in your life. It's like a puzzle from which you create a life. I pay your attention. It's not a completely film. It's like a clip. It's like a clip. You remember something from your school, something from your children garden, something when you contact with a grandfather, grandmother. It's a puzzle, and after that your cognitive systems create a whole picture. This picture not so true. It's a model of word. I pay your attention. In our brain situated model of word. Consciousness, it's an internal model of the external world. But episodic memory, it's like an anchor which fixed model to the reality. More episodic informations model be much more satisfy reality because based in the real event. Semantic memory. Memory for specific meaning like recognize means of words, symbols and other informations. Semantic memory, it's a memory which is responsibility for the abstract thinking. Episodic memory, responsibility for the concrete thinking. Procedural memory, responsibility for our unconsciousness movies and for our unconsciousness activity. My opinion, procedural memory, it's a very wide memory because a lot of operations we do like unconsciousness. Some words about procedural memory. Example of the procedural memory, yes. Like if you can do something and you don't think how to do, it's information in your procedural memory. All experience, and yes, of course, after some times medicine, psychology be present in your procedural memory. You do a lot of medical operations, professional operations, don't think about this because it's be a part of your internal unconsciousness, say so. Episodic memory example, or I don't know, it's Challengers, it's a first space disaster in which dying a lot of astronauts. Some fact from life, clear. It's maybe in your country this fact not so important. You know as a fact, but like who is your national hero? Who is your president? What's important stage in your history? Everybody has different episodic memory. But for globalizations, we need a same fact in episodic memory. It's create our like a same history. Semantic memory. It's mean of something. It's mean, what does it mean anatomy? What does it mean histology? What does it mean cell? What does it mean nuclear of cell? What does it mean DNA? What does it mean light? What does it mean university? What does it mean visa in your passport? It's means of word. It's very abstract things. Usually we cannot touch a lot of informations which persist in this memory. Other classifications. In other books you can meet these classifications. Implicit memory. This type of memory, it's a part of long-term memory, but this part of memory don't touch our consciousness. It's a procedural memory, like a motor and cognitive skills. It's a identified of object. If you see chairs, you don't think what does it mean chairs, clear. These operations you do automatically without consciousness. And learning use classical conditionaling. It's mean all operations for recognizing without thinking, it's implicit memory. Clear? All operations which involve memory without understanding, it's implicit memory. I ask you remember these classifications because sometimes you can meet this question in exam, and maybe you can meet like these questions in maybe in your license exam. Next topics, it's explicit memory. Explicit memory, it's a memory which need consciousness. In general, explicit memory, it's a cooperative activity between long-term memory and short-term memory. Clear? Because operation like a recognized chair, play in piano, information not pop up in your short-term memory. You drive your bicycle and you or scooter and you don't think how to do the things. Your brain think about absolutely different things. Why it's happy? It's happy because your short-term memory free. Episodic memory, yes, semantic memory. Fact and general knowledge. Okay, name of this bone, name of this bone, name of this bone, name of this foramen, name of this foramen. Okay, now you think. It's mean when you think, you try extract anatomical knowledge in your short-term memory. We call this process explicit memory, because if information's jumping from long-term memory to the short-term memory, it's a consciousness. It's reflecting consciousness. Episodic memory, personality, experience, and event. Yes, of course, you remember what's happy with you. Так, now pay attention to this picture. In this picture, it's like, say so, it's conclusions about my lecture. Memory, capacity, sensory memory, very large capacity. How long time? Very brief time. Example, when you open eyes, information's in your sensory memory. When you close your eyes, your information erasing from memory. Short-term memory. When you think about this lecture, all my phrase in your short-term memory. When I mute, information's erasing from your memory after 3 seconds. Okay, now you don't remember my last phrase maybe. Second, yes, in this memory, how to increase time for manipulate with information. Think about something. Long-term memory, information persists maybe permanently. Volume of information is very large. Usual informations in your long-term memory persist from 7 years ago. Maybe, my opinion, you remember informations after language. When you have a normal language, you remember informations. Now we discuss about pathology of memory. Pathology of memory. Main pathology of memory is amnesia. Presently 2 types of amnesia: anterograde amnesia and retrograde amnesia. Anterograde amnesia, it's a before traumatic event. Retrograde amnesia, it's a patient don't remember what's happy after traumatic event. Anterograde amnesia, inability to store and retrieve new informations. Anterograde, clear? Person cannot remember anything, never what's happy, yeah? I pay attention. Our frontier, it's a traumatic event. Brain lesion, trauma, accident. What's usual problems? Usual, it's problems with it's organic problems. It's not a psychological problems. It's a stroke. It's problems like a trauma due surgery, trauma due accident, anorexia, like a lack of oxygen, Retrograde and amnesia. Old informations. What does it mean? Patients don't remember what's happy after trauma. Patients remember trauma. Patients don't remember trauma and don't remember how to go out from home, visit a bus stop, in the bus stop, and he only remember himself in the hospital. Clear? Why it's happy? Because he cannot retrieve informations from long-term memory. Clear? Absent ability to the access to the long-term memory. Retrograde, it's old informations. Anterograde, after trauma. For example, patients remember accident, but after that he don't remember while he in the hospital. It's anterograde because he remember past event, time of accident and before accident, but he don't remember what's happy after accident. Usually he has anteroretrograde amnesia. Patient don't remember sometimes before accident and sometime after accident. Psychological trauma, brain trauma, and in psychiatry, fuga. We discuss these materials in psychiatry. It's maybe not our today topic, but remember these terms. Okay, thank you very much. I am Alexander Dvirsky. I am very glad to see you in my lecture.